So I've been doing something new when it comes to editing some of my photos, and it's been something that's just been so fun and enjoyable, and it's got me really excited about taking specific photos. And so I thought I would share with you guys, and maybe it's something that you can get excited about too. Hey everyone, my name is Zach. I'm a photographer and videographer, but more important than that, I am a husband and a father. And recently, when it comes to editing my photos, I've been editing my photos to have an aspect ratio of something similar to the XPan, which if you don't know XPan, I'll talk more briefly about it here in a second, but it's been something that's been so fun for me, and it's honestly got me excited to take photos. And what I think has been really cool is it's gotten me excited to take different photos than I'm used to taking. So XPan, basically, it's a way of shooting photos with a very wide aspect ratio. It's an aspect ratio of 65 by 24. And so when you shoot in this way, you get a very, very wide photo, almost like a panoramic photo. And it's something that it's very common in cinema, in films, but it's not as common in photos. And so to me, the first time I saw a photo like this, like I was immediately drawn to it because it just looked so, what was it? I mean, it was like, I loved the wide frame of view. Like it felt like I was paused on a movie, I guess. And it just, I don't know, like I don't know how to explain it, but it invited me in. Like it invited me in a different way than normal landscape photography does. Like typically when I'm shooting photos, I'm shooting this way, and hardly ever am I holding the camera like this and shooting. But when I saw that first photo, I was just immediately drawn in. I was like, I want to take photos like that. Like I want to create photos like that. And so I did a little bit of watching on XPan. There are some old film cameras that take XPan photos. Hasselblad created a camera as well as Fujifilm, but they're both very expensive, and I was not about to try that out. But basically, when it comes to the film side of things, instead of taking one image on a 35mm film strip, it takes up the space of two. So you're getting more of that wide field of view. And while those cameras are awesome, and I would love to be able to take some film photos on cameras like that, I cannot afford that. Maybe one day in the future. But for right now, I'm just working with my little X-T30, and I wanted to have a way to create photos like that on this camera. And so I'm gonna walk you through how I create those photos using the X-T30, but I think you can do this for any camera that you have. You don't have to use Fujifilm or the X-T30 or the X100 VI. Like you can use any camera to do this. So recently we went on a little family vacation down to Gulf Shores, and I knew that I wanted to try this style out. And so I told myself that I was going to, whenever I had the camera out and I was taking photos, I was going to force myself to change how I held the camera, so I wasn't always holding it like this, but holding it like this and shooting intentionally to get some XPan photos. So that's the first tip. First tip is you have to shoot intentionally to get these photos. If I just continued to shoot the way I was shooting, I would never be able to get them. Again, because I hold the camera like this. But also, when I do shoot landscape, I typically am a lot closer to my subject than what's needed for these photos. And so I had to intentionally hold the camera landscape, but then also take a couple steps back in order to make sure I was getting my subject in the right frame for this aspect ratio. Another thing that was really intentional was the lens that I used. So this is an 18mm lens. On a 1.5 crop, it's about a 27mm lens. I did consider buying a new lens before this vacation, but I intentionally decided not to because I wanted to have a wide lens in order to best get these XPan style photos. So that's the first tip. Be intentional when you're shooting. Make sure you're getting a wide enough shot that it's going to keep your subject in the frame, because the second thing comes into editing. Now, while XPan, like the original film XPan, it takes up 2 shots on film, we're not doing that. I'm not taking 2 photos and like lining them up. I guess you could, but that just seems a lot more complicated to me. Basically what I'm doing is when I get the photo into my editing software, I'm just cropping it. So here are a few of my photos from vacation, and you'll see that I've got the original photo, and then I've got my cropped in aspect ratio of that same photo. So what I would do is I would make sure that when I was shooting, like I said, I've got that subject wide enough. So here the subject is my daughter and my mom playing in the water. But I knew it'd be really cool when I kind of brought that aspect ratio in, because you would see this umbrella kind of in the foreground, and you would see my wife in the background. And I really liked that. Like, you're not just seeing the subject, but you're kind of seeing what's around the subject too. You're getting just a completely different perspective, I feel like. And that's one of the things I really love about this. So basically what I did was I took the image, I edited the image, and then because I'm me and I like to have the original and then, you know, the one that has the aspect ratio. So what I did was I went in and I duplicated the photo, and then I went into crop. So you can drop this down and then you go down to inner custom and you can change your aspect ratio. So let's type in 65 by 24. Okay. And there, it's going to create that same aspect ratio that you would see in one of those old XPan photos. And then I just lined it up the way I wanted it. So I don't love that I'm gonna be cutting off my son's head here, but that's okay. And I love that. Like, I look at that and I think, wow, this is like, it's a completely different photo than this, you know, like the photo's the exact same, but it changes the photo. Like, and I love that. And I just think, like, when you have like a wide shot, especially like someone like this, like, it's just so, like, it pulls me in, and like, I don't know, like, it makes me feel more like I'm in that photo, or I'm in that moment. Like, I don't know if that makes sense to you or not, but like, it just draws me in such a fun way. Now, choosing the right photos is also important. There were times where I took an image and I thought, okay, this is gonna make a cool XPan photo. But then when I brought it into the editor, it just didn't work. Mostly because my subject wasn't wide enough and far enough back. So like, for example, here's a photo of all of the cousins together on vacation. And if I was to go in and try to make this one that aspect ratio, like, it just doesn't look as good. Like, they're too close to it. Like, yeah, I mean, they're all in the photo, but it just doesn't draw me in the same way as some of those other photos do. I'll show you a few of my favorite ones. Like, they're just, the first photo I took, like the first photo I composed that I made this was this one here. And it's just like, immediately it felt like I was like watching a scene from a and it just drew me in. Like, I don't know how to explain it to you. I felt like I'm there. Like, I felt like I'm experiencing this moment again. I don't know. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I'm not trying to be cheesy or anything like that. Like, that's just literally how it feels to me. And so because of that, like, this has been so fun for me to take these photos and to try and compose these photos. And it's definitely a challenge, because like, when you're trying to compose these photos in the camera, like, you're looking at this screen. Like, let me turn it on here. Like, you're looking at a screen where it's got that full aspect ratio that you're used to, but you're knowing that you're gonna have to compose an image that's going to be, you know, a much wider aspect ratio. I've seen people who like tried to put gaff tape over the screen to kind of help them compose that shot. To me, that's just hard. Like, I'm not gonna put gaff tape on my camera because I'm not always gonna be taking only XPan photos. But so I'm really having to like try and compose that shot, and it is a challenge. Like, it's already a challenge composing shots that are new to you and everything like that, but also like trying to do that without having like lines in there or bars in there. I would love it if, you know, my camera could do this. Now, there are some cameras out there that can shoot digital XPan photos. Like, they'll actually shoot it in the 65 by 24 aspect ratio, and you'll see it on your screen. This camera is not one of those, unfortunately. But anyways, like all this to say, like this has been something that's been so fun to me. Like these images just draw me in a different way. Like this is a cool shot, right? Like it's a cool shot, but like when you put it like this, I don't know, it just completely changes it. And it literally, like it feels like I'm pausing on a movie. And I love that. Like maybe that's because I work with video a lot more than I do photography like professionally, but like I just love it. Like it's something that's so unique and different and inviting, and that's fun for me. Like I see this, I'm like, I don't know, like the subject is right there, but it's just everything about it looks so cool to me. So yeah, there you have it. That's my little like take on this fun little trend that I've been doing in my photos that just I think has been really exciting, creates some really cool images that I love. But I think honestly what's been the best part about it is it's gotten me excited about photography in a way that I haven't been before. Like I love taking photos, don't get me wrong, and I love taking photos of my family, but like this almost feels more like I'm excited for like an art style of it. I don't know, like it's just different and I'm excited about it, and I'm really thinking through like my compositions when I'm taking the photo, and then you know when I pull it into my editing software, I'm able to kind of finish that out. And that's just been so fun to me. It's been really cool, and I get some of these photos and it feels rewarding. Like I feel like, oh yeah, that's a photo I'd like to print and hang on the wall. So anyways, that's my little take. I hope you enjoyed this video and my little randomness about some digital XPan aspect ratios. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already, and let me know, is this something you're gonna try out? And if you do, I would love to see the images you take. Like send them to me. You can follow me on social media, send me images you take. I would love to see those because like these images are just so cool to me. Like I'm actually trying to like look for like people on Instagram now who are taking these types of photos. And just because it's inspiring. So I'd love to be inspired by your photos, but hope you've had a good day, and we'll catch you next time.